Here we go. First and foremost, thank you so much for being here, Mirenda. I hope I said it correctly because that's a very unique way of actually spelling out your name, you know?
Yes, it is. And you did an amazing job. I am so happy to be here. Super excited.
Me too. Me too. I definitely know people have read this topic and they're like, huh? What is going on here? How can you create a marriage culture? How can you be able to even be in a marriage that has a culture that you can adapt to? So I don't know where to start.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than a notion for sure. But you know what? It's just something that we have to do. Like the whole buzz is generational wealth, right? Generational wealth. Let's build generational wealth. Well, you do that between a man and a woman, husband and a wife. They get together, they make their promises, and they commit to, for better or for worse, ride or die, you know, and together, that's what they do. They build that generational wealth. Well, let's just say the husband and the wife, they build the wealth. The generations come from their kiddos, right? That's where the generation part comes in. It's through their kids and their children's children and those children. And then, you know, before you know it, Fliver, your beard is all gray. And you have all these little people running around you. Somebody puts a baby in your arms and you're like, wow, I did this. I did this. That's generational wealth. And that's what I'm trying to get our people to see. You know, that's what's up. That's what it's about.
You know what? We're gonna pause a little bit and then jump right back in because I know people are like, okay, now we're seated. Now our belts are fastened. So let us know more about you, your name, what you do, and then we go back into it so we can really discuss this point because it's very important for us to know how people can navigate through it.
Okay, let me start with this. I felt myself unhappy. I felt like I was unloved. I felt like I was unappreciated. So I filed for divorce. And my husband, he talked me out of it by reminding me of what I had told him about my parents' divorce. What happened to my sister and I, how we went from living in a house to living in an apartment. How we went from having a father to having a stepfather. And I know like everybody's step-parent experience is different and mine wasn't positive. So my husband reminded me of that and that changed my mind about following through with divorce because following through with the paperwork, you know, because I didn't want that for my kiddos. So, and that's how I got here. I'm Mirenda Canady, and for a long time, my last name didn't mean anything to me, but it does now, because it's the last name that my children have, and it's the thing that connects my husband and I. So yeah, that's who I am, and in making marriage like my ministry, and encouraging other women to stay married because women file for divorce twice as often as men. So because of that, and just being a woman myself, I was like, I need to encourage these women to stay. Like, yes, you're tired. Yes, you're frustrated. Yes, you're over it. I get that. I've been there. But let's just take a deep breath and find something. There is something there. There is a reason to stay in it. Now let's just talk about it. Like, what are they? And that's how my book came about. I came up with seven reasons to stay married. And I really believe that women can relate to these reasons and we can enter into a discussion. And hopefully by the time it's over, they're like, okay, Mirenda, I'm going to give it one more shot. I'm like, you know what? That's all I'm asking. Just hang in there one more day, and I'm going to encourage you through this thing till you get to the other side. And that's what's happening. And I feel like I'm really blessing their children. and their children's children. Like at the moment, she may not feel like hanging in there. But I believe like a year from now, she's like, you saved my life. I'm glad I'm glad I hung in there. So yeah, so that's my job. That's what I do. And in doing that, I'm encouraged to hang in there in my own marriage.
I love that. It's pretty much a mirror effect of what you're seeing in other people's businesses and lives, and it's transforming your life because now it's affecting how you build your relationship with your family, with your loved ones. So it's like a holistic experience, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I love that phrase. It's a mirror effect. Definitely.
Yeah. And I'm looking at it from marriage, because I've heard, like, we've had some marriage talk on this podcast before. We've had a great amount of people that have talked about marriage and relationships. But when it comes to, like you said, divorce, because now when you said that, I was like, that is crazy. So if it's twice as much, then it tells me that emotionally they've been holding it for a long time, that they couldn't stay there for long. And the only way to get out is by doing that exit left. I don't know what else to call it, but it shouldn't be something that should be done, because biblically, spiritually, it has a huge effect on you. But some people are really focused on that physical, mental, financial, sexual. It goes deeper and deeper into it. So how does someone stay sane without being overwhelmed?
Yes, I get that. Now, I think that community is a big part of it. Like, and education is a huge part of it too. My son was studying for his driver's license. I mean, that dude was like taking practice tests. He was reading his book. He was like, Mom, take me out for a drive. Dad, take me out for a drive. He was on it. And it occurred to me, I'm like, he is studying more for his driving test than I ever did to prepare for my marriage. And that's just crazy. I mean, I understand that he is going to be operating a huge vehicle that, if not operated properly, can hurt someone, and he can hurt himself and someone else. But the same is true for marriage. It's huge. It's bigger. It's bigger than just you and your fiance. You got your parents, you got her parents, you got your siblings, her siblings, your friends. Everybody is invested in you. Everybody wants you to make it work. Everybody's invested in your wedding being beautiful, and therefore your marriage also being beautiful. And I don't think people take into consideration like the numbers of people who are pulling for you, praying for you, believing in what you're going to create. And when they see all of that, blow up, it's painful. It's it's like it's a mourning, because what you're doing is you're interweaving like all these families together, and then the two of you just rip them apart, and like, hey, they don't want to be. They want to stay together. Like, her people and your people have now developed a relationship. And if the two of you rip that thing apart, like, what does that look like for these two people, who have a relationship? Because your people are going to want to bat for you, and her people are going to want to be on her side. And you just put like your whole family in this unreasonable situation where they have to feel like they have to choose a side, and they don't want to. They want to choose the two of you together and not be forced to, choose a side. So it's tough. And I don't think people they don't get that. They're like, this is me and my wife, this is me and my husband, this is our thing, our marriage, it's just us. Not even close. That's not even close. There's people invested in your marriage that you don't even know. It runs that deep.
It does. Some people don't even want you to be married. Some people are excited about your marriage. Some people don't even care. So it's like you don't know who to trust or who to talk to. And then when you now actually become a unit, the friends that you once had no longer start showing up, either because they don't like this person or they were jealous initially or they didn't take heed. Like, I've heard stories how people are like, oh, he's married, oh, he's getting married, oh, okay. And when you hear that, already in my head, like my cousin was telling me this some time back, and I was like, oh, remember the other time we came and your friends were here and this girl, this and that? And I was like, yeah, she wasn't serious, but you know, now she knows, and she's like, oh, can I come for the wedding? And I'm like, I don't know you. So it's weird. Like, people are so like, you come with an intention, you tell them this is what I want. They feel like, oh, you got to work harder, you got to act smarter, you got to pull a few dollars out of your wallet to make sure that it works. And then when you do get up in it, it's like you shouldn't have even been there in the first place because all this other backlog and crazy stuff is happening. So sometimes people don't understand how marriage works because they don't see these things. And the reason why I brought this up is because I'm thinking about marriages and counseling, because it's either you go for counseling before you get married or you have therapy after you're married. So
Hey, that's the truth. That's the truth, for real. That's the truth. But okay, so the name of my organization is called the A.G.E Movement, and it's named for this lady named Abigail in the Bible. Do you know her? Have you heard of her?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's in my top 5. You know, everybody have their top 5. I have top 5 people I want to talk to in heaven, and she is in my top 5 because I'm like, you were free. She was in a difficult marriage with a man who was foolish. He was rich, but he was also very foolish, and he almost got them killed, the whole family killed. And so I want to talk to her about that. Like, her foolish husband died, and she was free. Like, hey, you did it. You said, I do. You hung in there to death do us part. It's over. You're free. You're a free woman now. And what does she do? She turns around and she marries David. And she marries David before he became king. She married David when he was running from King Saul. So that means you're sleeping in tents. There's an army after your husband trying to kill him. And if you're with him, there's a high probability that you're going to die too. So she married this man who already had a wife. And I'm like, wow, like, why would you do that? And Abigail knows something. She knows something about like unity and love. And she was willing to compromise. She was willing to be a helper and to do what was necessary to like make her home. And I believe Abigail was also thinking, this man is going to be king. And any children I have for him have an opportunity to also become king. She was like, I'm not thinking about these other wives. My child has an opportunity to become king. So again, we're talking about generational wealth. She was thinking outside of herself. And the problem is people are very self-centered. And marriage is you can't do that in a marriage. In a marriage, you have to be a servant. You have to be willing to serve the other person. And I think people who have this negative, and this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help people see the beauty in marriage. Like watching my mom's divorce and the impact it had on my sister and I, and even right now, I've had friends to divorce. And the impact it's had on me and my husband. Like, he feels like he has to choose the dude. Well, I got to choose my girlfriend. You know, it just puts us in a weird position. And I'm just trying to change all that. Because people don't want to invest. They're afraid to invest. It's like, man, if I invest my heart into their marriage and they get divorced, it's going to kill me. It's going to hurt me. But we have to give love a chance, give love a try. again and again. We have to give love a try. And forgiveness, we got to forgive our spouses again and again. And those friends who are on the fence about your relationship are probably, it's like they don't want to invest. They've seen some bad marriages. They've seen how divorce can change people's personalities. People who were soft-spoken and kind suddenly become angry and hateful when you're talking about taking their kids or dividing the property. Now you got it like a different beast. It's like, where did this person come from? And if your friends who are on the fence about your marriage, if they're feeling that way, you know it's history. It's something that's happened to them that they're like, no, I'm not going to invest any. Like, I'll buy a wedding gift, but I'm not investing my heart. I'm not investing in that union, because what if it falls apart, just like so and so's marriage? You know. And so I think that's what's up with our friends who are on the fence, and they don't believe in marriage anymore because they've seen so many failures, and I understand that. And so my job is just to encourage. I'm just like a cheerleader. I'm just here to encourage and say, hey, you know, one more time.
This is a great topic, because I'm literally thinking left, right. Because now in my head, I'm wondering this. Okay, we got married because we love each other. Now we hate each other because we can't stand each other. So what was the factor? Is it that we're not a praying couple? Is it that we're not a communicating couple? Like, there has to be a problem, because when you hear about all these issues, and it could be the person grew up in a different background from you, which is of course obvious, but that should not like instigate or, you know, irritate or impede your progress. And especially like for us, we like when we do counseling, we're almost done. But when we hear it, and it's taken us a long time to get it done, and we're like, some people have not even thought about it, and I'm like, okay, maybe we're doing this the right way, and the long way is probably the right way than doing the short route. But because of what I've seen, it's made me understand that some people just don't think about those things. And because they've not gone through those processes, they end up in those problems because, oh, I love your hair, or I love your nails. And then that's the only thing you love, but you hate the house, you hate the shoes. You know?
Women, we care about our hair and our nails. So if we change it in any way, you got it. You say, I love it. That's right. You notice it and you tell her you love it. You got that down. That's great. That's great. Because yes, you have to do that. And I think counseling is something that's ongoing. You know what I mean? And I think it's so smart that the two of you are doing it together. I think that's awesome. But again, in this, my nonprofit organization called the Abigail Movement, we have an education arm, and it's called the Marriage Minded University, because I think that the counseling, the coaching, the training, it can't happen, you know, sporadically. Like, we're going to do premarital counseling, and then for the next 5 years, we're not going to do anything. And then when something pops up, then we'll go to counseling again. And then, you know, no, it's ongoing. It's something, because in our careers, right, we have continuing education classes, we have certifications, we do that thing, we do the education thing. And I believe that marriage is no different, which is why we founded the Marriage Minded University. And it's not just about you going through the curriculum. Of course, that's a big part of it. But another part of it that's just as important is you being in a community. So if you have friends who are for your marriage, and you have a few friends that don't really care, they're indifferent, it's like, no, you need somebody who's for you. You need to be with a group of people who are in your similar situation. Maybe like after you guys are married for 2 years, maybe you could be in a group with somebody married for a year, somebody married for 5 years, somebody married for 10 years. You're all in a group and you're talking things through. You are in a community together. So when something comes up, you have a group of men who you can go to and say, this is what happened, and this is my concern. And they can have a discussion with you. And you can trust them because you know that they are as invested in their marriages as you are in yours. So you kind of have that mentorship thing going on all the time. Like sometimes you're the mentor, sometimes you're the mentee. It's ongoing. And that's what I think is missing from our marriages. You get married, people throw the rice or the, rose petals or whatever you guys are going to have people throw at you. They throw that, they wave goodbye, and you're like on your own. You're on your own, and you should never be on your own because you don't know what you're doing. You need help. You need somebody to be with you and be encouraging you. And so, so that's the difference.
Yeah.
We're just trying to like stay connected with these couples and keep them focused because it's so easy to just kind of become the center of the universe. Like I'm the center of the universe, and maybe you're not catering to her needs anymore. And maybe she's not catering to your needs anymore. And you feel like this whole marriage is all about what she wants, and she feels like it's all about what he wants. And so you just need an outside person to say, hey, time out. Y'all going way left. Let's bring it back in and talk about it.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
We definitely need this, and we need more couples that are healthy, that are happy, that are, full of enjoyment, because when you see a couple that's excited, you want the same thing for yourself. Nobody sees a happy couple and is like, I don't want that. Like, right. It's not possible.
Right, exactly. And it's just life. It's just sharing life with, doing life with somebody. Somebody who will always be there for you, who's got your back the whole time. And it's just important because, we want to grow old, and nobody wants to grow old alone. So, we want that. We want that oneness, like two people becoming one, and they're just sharing. Their whole lives are intertwined. They don't just share kids and property and money. They share everything. The air that they're breathing is shared. And to me, that is so beautiful. And that is how when we model that for our children, that's what our children want. It's like, this is what I know. And they look for somebody who wants that same thing. And they respect you. And it's like, man, I like this guy, but I'm going to have to run him by my father and see what my father thinks of this guy, because they know that you and your wife know what you're doing. It's like they know what they're doing. I'm going to bring him by and let him talk to my father to see if I should invest any more time in him, And so it's ongoing. And that's how you build generational wealth. You have one wife. You guys acquire all this property, you save your money, and you pour it into your children. And guess what? They do the same thing. And it just happens over and over and over again. But if you are divorcing and remarrying and divorcing and remarrying, nobody is benefiting that but the attorneys. Nobody but the lawyers is benefiting from that. In fact, it's hurting everybody in your circle except the attorneys.
Can you imagine that? You've literally switched the board. You've flipped the switch, and now you're enjoying it because it's burning and you don't see it. But even the next marriage, the next thing, you have to really think about those things because nobody wants to go through torture twice. Nobody. So Some people are scarred that they don't even want to jump in again. Some people are just going to stick in there until something happens. So it's crazy how we see all this social media excitement, laughing, but behind closed doors, it's all something else.
Yeah, that's tough. Like, you want to be your authentic self, like, wherever you go. It's like, who needs the stress of trying to be somebody other than who you are? Like, like, life is stressful without all that. I would certainly rather be transparent than to pretend. But so, like, divorce happens. I think of three things: adultery, abuse, and abandonment. Like, if he just walks away. And I had a girlfriend do that. Her husband stopped working, and then pretty soon he just walked away. So yeah, crazy, right? Mm-mm. So and he was going through some mental stuff, and it didn't get help. We always have to get help. We always need to talk to a professional, and we need to obviously listen to our family and friends when they say, "Hey, there's something going on with you. You should get some help." And he didn't hear that. So yeah, so those are the three reasons that the Bible outlines that, like, yes, definitely get a divorce: abandonment, abuse, and adultery. But even now that I've said that, if your spouse, male or female, like if your wife commits adultery and she confesses, apologizes, promises to never do it again, and is willing to check in with you and make you feel like, you know what I mean? Just always checking in, making sure you know where she is and what she's doing until you get comfortable and you trust her again, then, you keep her. You don't divorce her for adultery. If your spouse is abusive and they're willing to go and get help, and they're consistent and diligent in that, and if they stop abusing you verbally, physically, whatever's happening, if they stop, then you don't divorce them. If he abandons you or she walks away from you, but if she comes back and apologizes and asks for another chance and is willing to do all those things to make you feel good about yourself and about them and about your relationship together, because it takes work. When you betray somebody like that, when you cause somebody to lose trust in you like that, man, you got to play catch up. You got to do a lot of recovery work. But if that person is willing to do it, even those three things that the Bible says, yes, if they do that, divorce them. Even with those three things, you can still give them another chance if they're willing to do that hard work of, earning your trust again.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on the first one, adultery, based on satisfaction, because that also goes into abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, abandonment. I don't really see your need here. So, so it's all about that mental state, if I look at all of them in one. And don't you think that most times this happens because there's low communication or no communication at all, and also lack of satisfaction because they've not met their needs, both emotionally and mentally and sexually? How does that play a role when the one party doesn't know what the other party needs?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you completely. And I think there's this book, and you're probably familiar with it. I hope somebody has gifted it to you and your fiance. It's called the 5 Love Languages.
I got it.
That's for real. Like, there's a reason why that book is number one, because how I like to be loved is not like how, it's not like how my husband wants to be loved. And so you have to be intentional about that. You have to know your spouse well enough to be like, okay, she she seems distant. She seems preoccupied. I know she likes it when I clean the kitchen and cook dinner for her. That's what I'm going to do. And then when she thinks that's it, she's going to go in the bathroom and see like a bubble bath already in there, you know. So, so just those things that you know that that say I love you beyond words. Like you got to be able to say I love you, like beyond words, because it really boils down to how you are being treated and how she's being treated. And sometimes you have to say that. It's like, hey, you know, my love language is quality time, and you're super preoccupied with what you're doing. How about, like, what can I do? Like, I don't want you to stop doing what you're doing, but I need to be with you. So how can I help you? Like, I just want to be in the studio with you. Like, what can I do to support you? And that's, you know, and sometimes it's just those, you know, it's just those little things. And that's what we have to do. We have to mesh our lives together. Because if the objective of marriage is two people becoming one, then other than physically, that's really difficult to do if you're apart all the time. You really have to to come together and maybe do some work together. Like it doesn't hurt to have a hobby you do together. If you like to write and she likes to read, you know, boom, there it is. If you like to drive and she likes to travel, you know, jump in the car and go somewhere. But it's all about like whatever you like, combining that with what she likes and doing it together and being one in that way. And after years and years and years of doing that, it's clear. It's visible to everybody. Like these two people are like one.
Yeah. This is great knowledge for people who are thinking about marriage, who are already in it, who are probably going through it. So it fits everybody's criteria right now. And one thing that I definitely have been seeing, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this, is when couples talk about taking time to actually spend time together, like you mentioned, how can I help you? If there's some couples I know that they will take like Friday or Saturday and say, hey, this is going to be date night every week. I met someone on TikTok. She was live and she's like, yeah, me and my husband, we every Friday without fail for the past, 19 years or so. We have been on these dates consistently, taking each other out. And you hear this and you're like, 19 years? I can't even last 19 days or 19 hours. So how does someone keep the fire burning without burning the flame?
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I'm not like, that's not appealing to me. So you gotta know your spouse. Like, I'd rather be surprised. You know what I mean? I'd rather him come like on a Tuesday with like, hey, let's just bounce. We're not gonna say goodbye to anybody. Send him a text. Send a text. We gone. No. Yeah. So that's just me. But obviously, the two of them like the consistency, the routine of every Friday. That would become a chore to me. Like, oh, it's Friday now. Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? We've been doing this for 5 years. What can we do new next? You know what I mean? And so that's why you just got to know your spouse. You know, you just got to know like what they're into. And you know, rather than like going out and, you know, trying out all these different restaurants and all this different type of foods, maybe like if you're foodies and that's y'all's thing, then that works. Like, you know, this Friday we are going out of town and we're just gonna hit a couple of restaurants because you're foodies, that's your thing. But things like dancing, like learning new types of dances, like that's something I would do. Like I would rather go out and do something physical, like you know, like let's go do some rock climbing or, you know, take a walk on the beach or something. So again, you just need to, and you need to know, does this person like routine? Like they want it every Friday. They like the routine. Or is this person like she, after about 3 weeks, just pop up with some flowers and some tickets, like a flight, like some plane tickets. Like, is that your girl? Like, depending on who your girl is, then that's what you do.
Yeah. Right? Exactly. And I love how you put that up, because some people like it spontaneous, and spontaneous is always, it's always thrilling. It's always something that makes you want to keep coming back. Some people say that's the whole reason why I did it, because I know somebody can find us. So it's all these crazy things that people think about, but those are the memories that you stick with, that really, you don't want to have the same routine. Oh yeah, okay, we know our sheets are blue and our sheets are red and purple. There's no color.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of getting to know each other. And all you have to do is listen, because a lot of times, women tell you exactly what they want, exactly what they like. If she gets her toenails done and she says, "You didn't even notice, I got my toenails done yesterday. You didn't even notice." Make a mental note. When she comes home, look at her feet. If it's a different color, compliment her.
Yep.
It's just so easy. It's those tiny things that all add up to be a lot. And in the same way, those tiny things that you miss, you ignore, you forget, those add up to, somebody who wants to file for divorce. So, so it all counts. The little things are those precious things.
Yeah, that's amazing. I want to touch a little bit on this subtopic, and we've touched on it on different areas, but I know some couples, even couples that are not even married, they have this, relationship, date night, this and that, but when it comes to intimacy, like you mentioned, there are different love languages. Some people just don't want to be touched. Like, that tickles me. Some people just don't. Some people are completely off that. But now when you're getting to know someone and interact with them, I've read a study, and I want to be sure that this is true, because I hear it, everybody talks about it, but it's like it's a balloon. I'll call it a helium balloon. It goes up into space. But when I hear about intimacy and how couples, specifically in marriage, right, should be able to, out of the year or every week, get to that point where you can be intimate with your partner. And they said that if you do that about 200 times out of 365, that's a doctor that said that. I mean, don't quote me. I'm not a doctor. Okay. But from when I heard, the overarching thing is that the more consistent, the more intimate, the more you're able to relate with each other, the healthier, the happier the mood and everything is. So, and some people don't think of that component in relationships. They're like, we got to run this business. We got to take the kids to school. So people don't think about those little things. And I'm not bringing this up for one-sided effect, but it changes someone's mood overall. So how do couples stay intimate without focusing on other bigger things?
Yes, I don't know anything about that 365, but I'm going to look it up. That sounds so interesting.
Yeah, the 200.
200 times out of a year.
Yeah.
365 days. Okay, that is so interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. But I'm really more like a kind of a spontaneous kind of person, and I think that romance is important and spontaneity is important. And I also think that intimacy happens a lot of different ways, right? Maybe intimacy is like her taking that bath and you drying her toenails, drying her feet, and polishing her toenails right in that bathtub. Maybe that's intimacy for her. Like if like getting her nails done, if that's a thing, and if you do it, that might mean the world to her. Not that you do it perfectly, but just that you tried, and just can you hear her telling the story? telling it to her mother, telling it to her sisters, telling it to her friends. And just the giddiness, the laughing. Look, he painted my nails. They're a mess. He is so sweet. I love him so much.
It's like a kid drawing an art and like, oh, look at what I drew, and like, oh, that's so nice.
And mommy puts it on the refrigerator for everybody to see.
Exactly.
Because that's just women, right? Just the smallest little effort you do. She's like, he's trying to please me. He knows I like to get my nails done. He is he's intentionally trying to please me. What can be more intimate than that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's intimate as it happens over and over and over. She looks at her nails. It's happening again. She tells a story. It's happening again. Before you know it, you get a text. You get a booty call text.
Where you at?
When you gonna get here? Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Because it's just playing out over and over and over in her head. And that's intimacy. I mean, and of course, that takes nothing from the physical act of making love, because that is definitely important. That's for sure. Two people becoming one, definitely. But it can happen over and over again in small ways, right? Just those little things mean a lot.
It goes a long way when you think about it, the intimacy and what it means, like, filling up her gas tank. It's happened to me. And sometimes, you didn't have to do this. And when you think about the thought behind what is happening, it could be a refrigerator. It could be a microwave. It could be a candle. It could be a blender. You don't have to go buy a Ferrari or a Porsche to, make her feel on top of the world. So I think people have this expectation that is so up there because we have all these great stars and celebrities that really shoot up the bar for us, which is great because people get to know, okay, there's something like this out there. But that doesn't mean that you now take your whole budget and then go throw yourself down, a restaurant that's a 6-star and realize, we don't have food tomorrow. So it's very balanced. And I know in relationships, there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of, putting things together. When it comes to third parties, like how, I have a girlfriend, I have a boyfriend. What do you think? I don't like him. Then she comes and tells me, I don't like you. And then the relationship is done. So in a marriage, when it comes to friends, third parties, and people talking about your relationship because they have interesting factors, how do you deal with that without being disrespectful?
Yeah, favorite, let me tell you, it's tough, right? It's really tough. And I think it's best to just be honest and be transparent, because I feel like if you tell them one time directly, then you don't have to answer that question again. You know what I mean? If you are firm in your position and in your response, then that's done. You know what I mean? You don't have to address the question again. Am I answering it?
It makes sense.
Are you following me?
Yeah, I am. I'm sure the followers too are getting it, because from what I'm hearing and what the listeners are also thinking is probably, okay, I'm just going to tell this person straight up, I don't like you. It's messing up with my relationship, and I would respect if you're able to take heed to what I've said. Simple. So it's like direct, active, and not aggressive either.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And I think people appreciate you being unique and genuine and direct.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially when it comes to your marriage, you have to set these hard boundaries. What you share, who you invite in, like all those things are just they're protective mechanisms. Like all these people who are not on your team and maybe not be for your marriage, moving forward, they may continue in that. Like, oh, y'all still married? Y'all still together? And you're like, that's not cool. Even if they say it jokingly, because you know how people can be, even if they say it jokingly, that still, it just plants a negative seed.
Yeah.
And that is, there's no place in a marriage for that. You just want people who are for you, because it's hard enough as it is, right? Like, it's just difficult. And you mentioned celebrities and this standard that they live, that they live at this standard, and maybe you aspire to do that. But from what I've read and seen on TV, they're all unhappy. They're all unhappy. They're not satisfied. They're depressed. They're always wanting more and more and more. And why? We just have to learn to be content with what we have and make what we have the best that it can be. Because you and your wife are going to give things value. Like, what you do will be valuable. Where you live will be valuable. Like, what you have will be valuable. And it's not based on the price tag. It's based on what you've acquired together and what it means to you. Like, how we got this house, or what we've done in this house, this car, where we went in this car, what we've done in this car, how we came about purchasing this car. That is going to give it more value. Not that it has to be any certain type of car or any, or a dream house. It doesn't have to be like this is the last house we're getting. Like, this is, our dream house. It doesn't have to be that, but it has the value of a dream house because it's yours and hers.
Mm-hmm.
And those celebrities, like, when they get divorced, I just get like Bill and Melinda Gates. I'm like, come on now.
That was we didn't see that coming. Some did, but nah.
And when I heard about what went down, like he wasn't letting her, participate to the level that she wanted to participate. And, I think it was like they were writing something and she wanted to contribute some written piece to it. And he was like, no, I got it, whatever. Like, no, like, and who knows the truth, right? Like, whatever it was that brought them to this point, I know that she filed for divorce, because women do most often, because they're frustrated most often. Because the women are constantly trying to be one in a way other than sexually. They're trying to contribute in other ways to, like, oneness. Like, hey, let's cook dinner together. Hey, let's, do this together. Let's do that together. Let's take dance lessons together. Like, whatever. Women are always trying to be one outside of the bedroom. And when men don't reciprocate that, or don't support that, or encourage that, then it's just a little thing that turns into bigger things over the years and makes her unhappy with her marriage. So it was called the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and I just really wish that they would have been more one in it, and and whatever they did, that it was more of a shared responsibility, a shared contribution. And another thing, did they have the mentorship? Did they have a group of people cheering them on? Did they have a group of people supporting them and encouraging them to stay married? I'm thinking that they didn't, because most people don't have that. They may have it in their parents, maybe, or but they typically don't have it in like a peer group, like peer groups. And so, and if you don't have anybody cheering you on and encouraging you, then you lose sight of who's invested in this, and you're quick to throw it away. Like, this isn't working for me. I don't like it, and you just toss it aside.
Right.
And then when you do it, all these people are devastated. You're like, wow, I had no idea that you were also invested in it. And I'm like, well, you didn't even let us know that it was coming close to this, you know? So you have to talk about those things, and you need some cheerleaders, somebody encouraging you that, hey, it's bad, but it's not that bad. Just hang on, hang in there.
You're right. And I know one other thing that definitely breaks or makes or breaks is finances. And that's something that people don't really talk about that much. So is there a way you could elaborate on that when it comes to keeping the house in order?
Yes, you know, and again, I think it's just going to depend on whatever, you know, the husband and the wife decide. Are we going to put all of our money together, or am I going to put half and you put half, and what's in the middle is what we use to pay our expenses, and what we have is just like what we have for whatever we want to do. Like, however the husband and wife agree to divvy up those expenses, I think that's what it should be. Like, whatever they agree on, that's what it should be. And if it should change, because, you know, occasionally women change their minds. Like, if it should change, then the husband, I think he should be open to change, and also open to compromise. Like, if she wants to change it completely, you know, and you're like, yeah, we can change it, but let's just change this much of it and see how that works. And then, you know, we'll table the rest and we'll come back to it. But yes, it's always a discussion, right? It's always a conversation. And nothing is set in stone, and you got to be flexible, right? And be willing to compromise. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, it's unfortunate that finances can really kill a marriage. But I think if both parties are completely transparent, then it's not a problem. But it's when, you know, you're stashing cash here and she's stashing cash there, and then you discover it, it's just like, you know, trust is so important. Like, you have to guard that thing. It's just like a little baby. You have to take care of trust and make sure that it grows stronger and it, you know, it's deeper and better. Because when the trust is compromised in any way, then it hampers the growth of the relationship. If you don't trust her and she doesn't trust you, it's difficult, and you have to get over that through being even more transparent. And you know, it's like, hey, you know, you want the code to my phone. It's your birthday, so now you know it. Whenever you want, it's your birthday. Just put it in there and check it out. Check me out. I'm transparent. You know.
Yeah.
And so, so those things like that, those are things that you have to do in order to keep the trust, to keep the marriage moving forward.
Yeah, it's crazy because some people put like trackers on their phones, like couples and everything. I mean, you could do that for your kids. That's totally fine. That makes sense. But couple to couple, it's like, oh my goodness, you don't. Yeah. I'm at a restaurant. I can't be at Popeyes. I can't be at Chick-fil-A. I can't. So it's crazy, but that definitely helps people to really understand and know, okay, before we jump this relationship bridge to marriage, can we talk about these things? Because a lot of people don't talk about those things. They just think about the wedding. They think about the excitement and all the beautiful babies coming. But they forget that, oh, you forgot to close the toothpaste. Oh, you forgot to take the trash out. So it's all those things.
Yes, man. Yes. My thing is doors. Like, I'll get up, like I'm the first one up in the morning. I'll get up, like, doors are open. cabinet doors are open, the dishwasher doors open, the pantry doors open. And so I'm just like closing all these doors. Do I get mad? Do I send a nasty text message? No, I just close them. I just close the doors because it's just not his thing. He'll open the drawer, take out a fork. He's got the fork. There's no need to close that drawer. The next person can close it. You know?
Yeah.
And so you just have to close it. You know, just close it. And those things happen, right? Whether you'll have your things, she'll have her things. And what do? You just pick up the wet clothes off the floor and put them in the washing machine.
Yeah.
You just do that. I mean, that's like love, right? You're just loving them. You know, the good things about them you love, and the not so good things about them. The things that get on your nerves, you love them too.
Mm-hmm. This is great. I'm so glad we're able to talk about this today and really go deep dive into marriage culture. Wow. I'm so glad we're able to be here today, Mirenda. And if there's...
I'm so glad you're engaged.
Thank you.
I am invested in this marriage. I am super excited about it. I'm so happy for you because that's what I want to see happen. I want to see more couples in our communities getting married and building wealth by combining their resources, monetary and otherwise, combining their resources and building something and adding the generational part in it by having children and raising them and modeling before those children. Okay, this is what marriage looks like. Mom and I don't always agree, but we can agree to disagree. It doesn't mean it's over. We just don't agree on this thing. And you're just kind of showing them what a good marriage looks like. So when it's their turn, they know, even in dating, they're like, oh, I don't like the way he raises his voice at me. This ain't gonna work. And they can just cut it off, not waste any time. They can cut it off and just wait for the right one. Because you have modeled. It's like, my dad didn't talk to my mom like that. I'm sorry, this is not going to work.
Exactly.
You can take me home now.
Literally. Like, I'm good.
Right? Yeah. So I'm super excited, man. I want to stay in touch with you. I want to check you out on all social media platforms. Like and congratulate all those wedding pictures. Man, congratulations. So
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you so much. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. This is something that everyone looks forward to, and I'm like, oh, me too? I'm part of this train? Okay, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully your male friends can see you and they can do the same, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what generational wealth looks like.
Yeah, I'm glad my friends are also getting married this year. Her friends are getting married this year. So it's like we're all in that nice space. And it's all good because we know we're at the right place at the right time doing the right thing. So...
Absolutely. I love that. Right place, right time, doing the right thing. I love that.
Thank you. If there's any way they can get in contact with you, what are the options they have?
Yes, of course, you can check me out on social media platforms at Why Stay Married. I'm also in Clubhouse. The name of our club is also Why Stay Married. And I have a new book coming out, and it's called Why Should You Stay Married? The 7 reasons that will permanently change your mindset on marriage. And I have a link tree in my IG that they can pre-order the book.
Amazing. And guys, make sure you also check the podcast description link because it's also going to be available there for you. Hey, thank you so much, Mirenda. And I'm wishing you the rest of your weekend an amazing time with your family and loved ones.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.